What would happen if Tony Montana from Scarface had to go up against Charles Manson? And that's my movie.
Welcome back to Basement Sessions, everybody. I think this is our 4th episode of the year. I'm very excited about this guest today. I will let him give himself an introduction.
All right. My name is Samuel L. Fronsman. I am a film director and writer and kind of a jack of all trades, you could say. I'm based out of Canton, Ohio, but I've done a lot of work with people up in Cleveland. Actually did a little bit of work up in the Kent-Ravenna area for a movie called Hell Van. I was on set one day for that. But right now I'm gearing up for my debut feature film, In the Hands of Fate.
Right. Very excited. I'm going to be working on set with him, running the camera and helping out with some other stuff. So definitely excited for that. So where are you originally from?
I was born and raised in Canton. I ended up going to high school in Louisville, though, because where I live is kind of a funny area. I'm technically in Plain Township, but I'm in the Canton City School District. But the closest high school to me was Louisville, so I'd equally say I'm just as much from Canton as I am Louisville, because Louisville is where I spent so much of my teenage years and growing up and making a lot of friends, making memories out there.
So what was your life like growing up?
Not too exciting, actually. I don't have like a crazy story or anything like that. But me and my one friend, we were neighbors, kind of. His grandparents were my neighbors, and he'd come down every weekend. And I think I caught my bug for storytelling as like a little kid, because you know how like most kids, they'll like play pretend and it won't be like too serious. I'd actually be sitting there like writing out like plots and I'd be assigning him what his character is and what my character is.
Right.
And it wouldn't be to the point where I'm like giving ourselves lines, but I'd have like a storyline with the beginning, middle, and end, and like I'm 7 years old, right?
That's
and
awesome.
so that's kind of how that was. And then just as I got older, I've was more and more interested in like into entertainment, whether it was like acting at my school, like in the drama club. I did that for a few years, got real heavy into music, tried to become like a heavy metal vocalist at one point. That didn't really go too far, but just everything from like music to acting to storytelling to doing my YouTube videos that I do when I was growing up. It just kind of all like culminated in this like deep love I had for like the entertainment industry. I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it yet.
Right. That's cool that you bounced around a little bit and experienced a bunch of different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
A singer for a heavy metal band. I would never guess that.
Yeah. No, well, because I'm kind of dressed differently with the flashy jacket, but a lot of times, and it was even much more like growing up. Like I still have like all my old like band T-shirts. Like
Right.
I have like Avenged Sevenfold and Slipknot, and like a lot of times you'd see me like just wearing a leather jacket and like a heavy metal shirt and like some ripped jeans, and so I looked more the part. Nowadays you might not like look at me and go, oh yeah, I bet that dude's headbanging to Slipknot.
Right. That's funny. So what age were you like exposed to like making videos and stuff like that?
So I think it really started to take off for me more when I was closer to maybe 10, 11 years old. At the time, now mind you, these videos, you can't watch them. So if you're watching this video right now, you cannot find these videos. They were gone. But I do these kind of like little YouTube videos. Like my mom got me a camcorder, and I drag that friend I was telling you about, Brandon. I drag him out and say, hey, let's film like Minecraft in real life. Let's do like Call of Duty in real life, and like we try to like make these videos where we're reenacting video games in real life. Now I was a lot more into it than him. He kind of just got dragged along for the ride, but it was fun. I'd put the videos together, do some videos like with my dog even and stuff like that, and I just started. It just was like naturally to me like to shoot this and then go over onto my computer and edit at like 11 years old. It didn't look good, but it was like, it was my first exposure.
Right. What did you start editing your videos on? Do you remember?
Oh, it was like Windows Movie Maker.
I was just going to say probably something like that was going to be my first guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it evolved. It went from Windows Movie Maker as a kid to then Power Director, which, believe it or not, Power Director, the version that I was using came pre-installed on my computer, and it's weird because normally, like the free version, you get stuck with like a watermark, and it's like you can't do much with it. Well, the version I had wasn't half bad actually. It's just that I had like some bugs with it where sometimes it would glitch out and like the entire video would disappear when I exported it, and it would just be the audio with a black screen, and I'm like, okay, I gotta upgrade. And so like now I'm on Adobe, but like it was a long process of like, it was like stepping stones from like different quality stuff.
Yeah, I started out on Resolve.
Oh yeah.
And people call me crazy, but I would not make this up. So when I first started, I had exported however many videos I exported, but then I tried to export one day. I was doing drone shots at the time, and it told me that I had exported too many videos that I needed to upgrade. And I was like, well, I was using you because you were free.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I have to pay, I'm like, I might as well just go to Adobe, which is what everybody was using at the time.
Right.
So that's just what I've been using ever since.
Yeah.
And they just changed all the like color grading and stuff within Adobe.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's super nice.
Yeah.
I've been getting some really good color grades in.
Yeah, because that was like the one like big thing that DaVinci had like over Premiere is like DaVinci's color grading is like next level. I didn't know that. That's crazy. So you have like a limit?
Everybody says it's not like that, and it never was. But I remember like it would not. That's the whole reason I wouldn't go from not paying for something to paying for something just because.
Right.
Like it would not let me export anymore without upgrading. So I was just like, whatever. I'll just go to Adobe.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've been debating switching back until they updated the color grading. And now that it's like a sliding scale, you can just pick whatever color you want to change. So it's a lot easier and, well, I guess just easier, really. So what kind of camera do you currently use?
Right now, I use a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, and I love it. It's the best camera that I've owned, and if anyone watching this is like interested in filmmaking, it's a camera that I recommend buying because for the price point, you're getting like cinema quality. You know, it's not an Arri Alexa or anything like that, but you know, you're getting 4K. You're shooting in RAW, and the body is only 1200, and so it's a steal for the price. And so yeah, I know I recommend the Blackmagic Pocket 4K for indie filmmakers.
I have behind the scenes footage. I can't remember if it was the 4 or the 6K that we shot a couple videos on, but I got to run one on a Ronin M, I think it was, maybe, with the finger focus.
Yeah.
It was kind of rough getting adjusted to focusing with my finger while trying to be steady. But yeah, those are definitely nice. I was trying to buy my buddy's. He has a 4K.
Yeah.
And we couldn't work out a deal, but I wanted it.
Yeah.
What is your dream camera and or rig?
So, I'm like I said, right now I'm really happy with the Blackmagic, but to me the next step upgrade, if I'm gonna be upgrading my gear, is a red Komodo would be huge. And then, like I said, I mean, if you get to the next level from that, I mean, now you're working with like an Arri Alexa, like I was saying, like that's what professionals are using, and so it's always about that next step up. But for right now, I'm happy with the Blackmagic, and the reason why is because so many other people that I work with also shoot on either a 4K or 6K. I have some couple of buddies that also shoot on a 6K, and the images match very well with each other.
Right.
And so when you're shooting a scene and you want to cut your time in half and get the same amount of coverage, if you can set it up to have a two cameras set up, and you're shooting on the same camera, you're able to more easily match those settings, and you're able to be a lot quicker and efficient with getting both cameras to visually match up, especially versus if you're going to be shooting on something different, and then you're kind of more eyeballing it because the settings won't be exact.
That's my biggest struggle with trying to get these to match.
Yeah.
I want to just go buy another body of this because since the Mark III's been out for a while, the prices of these have dropped insane. Because when I got it, I think the body was still like $3,000 or $3,200.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And now, I mean, I see them selling on eBay for $700-800.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I just want to get another one of these for like an interview camera, and then I would also love to get a red Komodo. Those things they're so nasty.
I know somebody that he shoots on one up in Cleveland. I've been dying to work with him. Yeah.
Yep.
And so one of these days, I don't know when it'll be, but we're gonna be working on a project together at some point.
It's cool that he branched out and does like DJ stuff and everything now. I was scrolling Instagram the one day and saw this guy pop up and he was talking about DJing.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that looks like cinematics. And then I clicked on his thing and sure enough, he was in the profile like description or whatever. So I was like, it is him. So I thought that was pretty cool. What is your creative process for like writing and planning movies?
So
or just any project really.
Okay. So writing for me is a process of getting to know the characters and letting the characters take me on the journey. Now, when it comes to In the Hands of Fate, which I'll use as an example because it's the movie I'm working on right now, I had originally based these characters off of a short film that I did back in 2019, and I wanted to put them in a new story, and I had just watched this film called Bad Times at the El Royale, and I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but at the end, Chris Hemsworth, Thor, comes in, and you wouldn't think he plays a great bad guy because you're so used to seeing him as Thor, but man, when he comes in as this cult leader, and it just like throws the entire movie flips the table on it. And I had that idea to could I take these characters from Crossfire, and then now I could bring in a cult into it. And then once I kind of started putting together characters, my process of writing, and this is for any project, is okay, who are these characters? What are their motivations? And then take me for a ride. And I'll just kind of get into like this zone where it's not, Samuel Fronsman writing the script. It's, Donovan's writing it now. And then, I'm switching and my focus is on Ash, and now she's writing it, Rocco's writing the script. And I know, like, okay, they got to get from point A to point B to point C, but I'll let them take me.
Right.
So that's kind of like my process for writing it. And then once it's all, I got a first draft written, I'll let other people look at it because I don't know everything. And I want to give a huge shout out to one of the actors that's going to be in my movie, Steve Scionti, because he's not just acting in my movie. He helped me out so much during the writing process because I sent him, it was like the second or third draft of the script, and I sent it to him for feedback, and because his wife used to be a script consultant for Lifetime and Hallmark, and so I thought that the two of them could, read it and let me know if there's any small things. And he comes back to me and he says, Sam, I love it. It's a page-turner, awesome movie. There's one problem. It feels like I'm reading two different movie scripts. And I'm like, oh. And so he explains, he's like, yeah, you have the cult coming in halfway through this movie. You need to have them show up sooner. And so it was this outside perspective that I don't know because, I'm so married to this project. I know the cult's coming. It doesn't catch me off guard. Nobody else knows. And so I switched it around. And so I think it's huge to get other people's opinions on a screenplay when you're done writing it, anything that you're working on, because there's things that you're going to miss. And you have to be willing to accept that criticism, take that criticism, and appreciate it.
Right.
And so from there, it's just a matter of, planning out every day, each step of the way, how it's going to go. But as far as writing it, it's like, yeah, let the characters take you there, and then let somebody else take a look at it and, give you feedback.
Right. Interesting. Never thought about it like that. Like, well, I mean, I guess I have. I just never really, thought about it in that mindset of you putting yourself in the character's shoes and letting them... That's awesome.
It helps out a lot. Because to me, I think, the biggest thing is, you want them to get to a certain destination, but you can't necessarily, force things to happen. You don't want to, because the last thing that you want in a story is, and I think the creators of South Park, Matt and Trey, they'd said this about their writing process for South Park. They want everything to be, you know, this happens, but then this happens and causes an issue, or however this ends up happening. It's never a this happens and then this happens and then this happens. There's always got to be, some kind of, roadblock or something.
Right.
It's not about convenience. You don't want things to conveniently happen because, well, the movie has to happen. You have to think, what would this character do in this situation, and how would that decision impact the lives of the other characters, and then now what's their response going to be? And so now you're getting more organic characters, and you're getting the story from point A to point B, not because this happens and now this happens because the movie needs to happen, but this happens and this character does this. Now that, because of that, now he has to do this instead, and now we're getting to the same point. If I ever have writer's block, I write in a new character to take me out of it.
That's also pretty smart. Do you keep the character in, or do you just use it for different ideas and then kind of just cut them back out?
I would cut them out, but it ended up working twice in the Hands of Fate. Two characters that weren't originally part of the movie, they became so integral to the plot that now the movie couldn't happen without them. The first time was with Charlotte, and I'm being careful what plot details I give because obviously I haven't even started shooting
Right.
yet. But Charlotte, she is the bridge between the cult and the storyline with the gangsters, the hitman, and because what the movie's about is Donovan is this hitman that has to now go after Ash, who's a witness he previously spared in an earlier scene because she stole money from a drug kingpin. And so when she's on the run, she goes to her friend Charlotte, who's part of this cult. And before Charlotte was introduced, it was, they end up at this, place, and the cult's just there, and it's out of convenience. And I sat back and I said, that is the laziest way to have the cult. I need there to be a bridge. And so Charlotte's one of those characters. And another character, Tyrell, he's in one of the more recent drafts. He didn't exist until the beginning of last year, and I wrote the first draft in 2019, and Tyrell just showed up. But now I couldn't imagine the movie without Tyrell. He's such an important character in the storyline between Vic and Donovan that you can't have the movie now without him.
That's awesome. So you've been writing it since 2019?
I wrote the first draft in 2019, revised it in during COVID in 2020, realized, wow, I don't have the money to make this movie, and I don't know anybody that can help me on this movie. Put it on the shelf for years. Realized that there's a thriving film community and a lot of people who are more than happy to volunteer their time and come out and want to be part of making an independent movie. And I learned there's so many talented actors that want to be in it. And then the final selling point was when I met Steve Shawnee, when I met him on the set for Calendar, and he and I were just outside having a conversation together, taking a break from shooting, and I told him hey, you kind of feel like you could really fit this character that I wrote a couple years ago, and he wanted to know more about it, and it kind of snowballed from there. But yeah, no, I put it on the shelf for a while because I'm how am I supposed to make this? And
right.
It's crazy how many opportunities there are out there when you look.
No, for sure. Did you change it all or revise the script at all while you were just sitting not doing it, or did you literally just put it away and it just sat until...
Okay. It did. It sat until I think I started working on the script again, I think towards the end of 2022. And it's funny because at the time when I was okay, when I wrote the script the first time in 2019, I thought the writing was solid. This is some great writing, but the formatting is horrible, and I need to just, basically, I went into it thinking, I'm just going to, take everything I already wrote, copy it over into a professional screenwriting software, make sure everything's formatted professionally, and then boom, I'm done, right? No, I read that back over, and I'm thinking, oh, what was I thinking when I wrote this? I'm like, there's some corny dialogue in here, and there's like all these different like
You're a whole
plot
different
holes.
person 3 years later, so that's probably cool looking back at it. Like, hey, I can make this way better now. Like,
oh yeah. That was exactly my thought process. Is I was like, wow, I need to rewrite this, and so then I started. There's like some stuff that I kept in there. Like there's certain lines that I went back and thought, wow, no, I was creative. I was good for that one. Then there's other stuff I'm like, yeah, I've grown a lot, and narratively this needs a complete rework.
did you start out with the title In the Hands of Fate, or does that play off of kind of setting it off and then Fate kind of picking it back up and...
I've never thought of it that way before. In the Hands of Fate, the title comes from my, I call it short film number 0. Okay, because I count Crossfire as short film number 1, but I did something even before that to kind of practice before I did Crossfire, and I called it In the Hands of Fate. And a lot of that short film I ended up keeping in the screenplay for the movie. And originally I had this idea to break it off into chapters. And so chapter 1 was called In the Hands of Fate as a like homage to that short film. And then overall the movie was called The Belly of the Beast. And I don't even know where I got that title from looking back at it now. I'm trying to I think it was just something I thought sounded cool when I was like 19 years old. But ended up when I reworked it all, I thought, this title's got to go. In the Hands of Fate is so much more symbolic thematically to what happens in the movie, and just how fate puts these very different people into a situation you wouldn't think that they would get into. I think it's more thematic that way.
And then you said your first official film is Crossfire?
Yes.
Is that available anywhere
Crossfire
for people to watch?
Yes. Crossfire is available. That's the oldest thing of mine that I actually left up. And it's because even though it has some technical bugs in it, but it's so important to why In the Hands of Fate is a thing that I feel like it has to be up there. If it wasn't for Crossfire, I would not have wanted to become a filmmaker.
Right.
It made me fall in love with it, and it established, some of the main characters like Rocco and Vic and some of his other thugs that I would not have had any idea for In the Hands of Fate if I didn't have it as a launching off point.
Right. It's nice to see, like, let people be able to see, like, the stages of your growth, too. I've thought about going back and deleting, like, all my first music videos and stuff.
Yeah.
But then I could literally tell you how many times people have told me they've searched my whole page and, like, they're like, I watched your first video and now I watch what you do now and you've come a long way. And it's like, I don't want to delete, like, where I started, because people do. They look at that stuff and they're like, well, I mean, he has come a long way.
Yeah.
So I think it's awesome that you leave that up. And then, so what was your second one then? Your second official one?
Second official film was One Hell of a Ride. And I actually tried to veer off and do more horror, but it ended up being more of I'd say more like a horror-esque drama than anything. But that one was my last film that I did in college. So Crossfire and One Hell of a Ride were like both part of that chapter of my life where I was a college filmmaker. But what I love about One Hell of a Ride is that it felt like a next step, because technically it was a lot better, but then now that I look back at it, I realize that it's not perfect, and there's some things that I ended up doing better later on, like the car crash in One Hell of a Ride. I filmed that by just having two vehicles like really close together like this, and then I had them like back up, and then I reversed it in post, and then before they officially hit, I have it cut to black and put in a sound effect.
Right.
And it worked at the time, but when about a year later I did someone getting ran over with a car, and I compare those two different car stunts, I'm like, yeah, this next one I did, it was a lot cooler, but I still think One Hell of a Ride was neat.
Right. And where are those available at?
They're all on YouTube. All of my short films are on YouTube. My channel is Franz Productions.
Go check that out. I watched a part of what's the one with the guy in the back seat on the walkie-talkie in the beginning?
In in the back seat.
Is that somebody else that I'm thinking of now? I know a couple.
Oh,
filmmakers.
wait a minute. I think I might know what you're thinking of. Are you thinking of a zombie movie or?
Actually, yeah. Is that Andrew then?
That's Andrew.
Okay, okay.
Andrew Chapman. Great guy.
So
I've worked with him.
Stuff out. I'll have to go check your stuff out.
Yeah. That you're thinking of Scavengers.
Yep. Okay. Makes more sense now. So what is your favorite movie and or project that you've made?
That I've made?
And I mean, you could pick In the Hands of Fate.
I'm not going to.
It's gonna be made. So.
Yeah. I would, but we'll see once I make it. It probably will be. Because it's the biggest thing I've ever done. I would put money on, In the Hands of Fate is definitely going to be my favorite project. Right. But looking back right now, if I were to pick one, I might actually have to go back and say Crossfire, even though it's technically, from a filmmaking perspective, the worst. I mean, it's got sound issues in it. It's got lighting issues in it. But like I said, if it wasn't for Crossfire, there would be no In the Hands of Fate. And so I got to say Crossfire.
Right. That's awesome. If you could help on set with any director, who would you go on set with?
Quentin Tarantino. I mean, that's easy. If anybody that knows me personally knows that he's probably my biggest inspiration as a filmmaker. It's funny. I have, even to the point where I own all of his movies, and I even have a figure of him. It's kind of, I don't know, some people might find it kind of strange, how many people have a figurine statue of their favorite director, but I do. Is from he played a small part in Robert Rodriguez's Grindhouse movie Planet Terror, back when the two of them collaborated for Grindhouse with Death Proof and Planet Terror. And so I was able to get kind of a figurine of that. But there's something about the way he writes his stories, and the just the way he's able to use dialogue and almost have they'll be talking about something random, crazy, they're talking about in Pulp Fiction, they're talking about giving a foot massage, right. And they're saying all this, and they're having this whole conversation arguing about whether it's cheating to give someone a foot massage or not, and meanwhile they're coming up here basically to shoot some people and take a briefcase for their boss. But I love the way he's able to do that, and there's just such a atmosphere that's right. It's unlike any other filmmaker, So yeah, Quentin Tarantino, easy.
I've always loved his long zooms that come into the eyes on people.
Yeah.
On the Kill Bill and all those. Those have always been my favorites.
Yep.
So would you say he is one of your biggest influences then?
Yeah. I'd say Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Brian De Palma, and Robert Rodriguez. And Robert Rodriguez, I wanted to talk about him specifically because for me, and I just read last year, I was reading his book, Rebel Without a Crew, and how he made El Mariachi, and he made that movie for $7,000, and look where he is now. He's directed Sin City, collaborated with Quentin Tarantino from Dusk Till Dawn. I told you about Grindhouse. He did everything from Spy Kids to Machete. Right? And so it's cool seeing how he started, and reading how he raised money from being essentially a medical test subject, and he was able to raise this money to shoot this film on next to nothing. And you have to think back in the 90s when he's making this movie, when he's making El Mariachi, you have to buy physical film.
Right.
That's where that budget's going towards. Yeah, he can't pay for a lot of stuff because he has to buy the film and develop the film, and that's where that money's going, and that's not a thing anymore. We're shooting on digital cameras. Right. Yeah, sure, there's still some storage limitations because you only have as much as your memory card will hold, but it's night and day difference compared to when you actually have to buy physical film reels, and every second that you're shooting, you're losing money.
Right. So, and having storage for the film reels and everything. Because it's not like an...
Quentin Tarantino, his first movie isn't Reservoir Dogs. It was called My Best Friend's Birthday. But you can't watch it anywhere because most of the movie burned up in a fire, and he basically said the rest of it became guitar picks. But it was his film school.
That's crazy. That's actually, I never heard that, but that's awesome. I want one of those guitar picks now.
Right?
So I know we talked about it a little bit. Do you want to talk about your film that you're promoting right now?
Um,
A little
yeah.
more in depth, if any details you can talk about, maybe characters that you've posted about, and
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff about In the Hands of Fate that I can talk about. I was about to say I'm at liberty to say as if I'm not giving myself
Right.
liberty, right? No, that's Rick Harrison. um, so In the Hands of Fate is it's kind of a cross between a gangster movie and a cult movie. So I've been kind of dubbing it as a crime thriller because I think it's hard to really put it in a genre. But if you were to classify it of what genres it would be similar to, probably like some of the neo-noir movies that came out of the 90s, like Pulp Fiction, like Fargo, things like that, of that era. But I've told some people, I say, what would happen if Tony Montana from Scarface had to go up against Charles Manson? And that's my movie. But it follows this hitman named Donovan Harlow, and he gets brought on to kill this guy named Gunner for this powerful drug kingpin because Gunner's been doing some business behind his back. And you can see like that whole scene where they're having that discussion on France Productions or on the In the Hands of Fate Facebook page because we shot that as a proof of concept. But where it happens next is there's a witness that when Donovan goes to kill Gunner, this kind of junkie girl named Ash is there, and she was actually being assaulted by Gunner when Donovan shows up. And so now he kind of feels bad for her, and he ends up, against his own better judgment, letting her go. Well, when she ends up ultimately later, stealing money from this drug kingpin, Rocco, you know, which mind you, he doesn't know because there's this guy working under him, Vic, that's doing some business behind Rocco's back, and Vic took the money to begin with that Ash steals. So Rocco thinks that it's this guy named Tyrell that stole the money because that's kind of like what Vic's been leading him on to believe. But see, Vic knows who it really was because Tyrell tells Vic who it really was.
Right.
And now when Donovan finds out, he's got this dilemma now because he has to go after her, but he already let her live once. And so she ends up, running into this friend, old friend from rehab, Charlotte, who is her sponsor. And Charlotte since joined this Charles Manson-esque cult, ran by Jeremiah Smith. And Jeremiah, he is losing his followers because, the quality of life on the compound's gone so far downhill that some of his loyal followers are starting to, get sick of him and turn against him. And so when he finds out about this money from Charlotte, he thinks this might be the way that he can start getting people to get their faith back. And so they all are going to collide. And that's all I can say without actually spoiling.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited to work on it and help you and see exactly how you do things behind the camera and whatnot.
Yeah. Now, I can't wait to have you on set. I'm stoked, especially the days that you're going to be on set, which I won't tell you what happens in all those days. But they're all action scenes. I guess I can tell you one of the days is actually going to be that you're going to be on set. You're going to be on set for the scene with Donovan and Gunner and where he lets Ash live. You'll be on set for that. But all the scenes that you're going to be part of are going to be some of the more intense action scenes. So
Right.
I can't wait for you to be on set for that.
And I'm hoping some of my arsenal of stuff comes in handy for you.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I've been loading up. I've been wanting to do short films and stuff for a while. I just was in the position you were in. It's like I can write as many ideas as I want, but if I don't have help,
Yeah. Well, I'm always down. You ever got something, let me know. I'm there.
Right. So I have like a quarter of like a script written up. I wanted to start off with something like a short film and not go into something like full length. I originally wanted to start with just shooting like movie trailers because I feel like that would be, you only got to shoot a couple seconds of everything and then you just got to make it look good and make it like appealing, and then if you get something where it gets a lot of attention, hey, make a movie based off of that.
Yeah.
Type thing. But yeah, so I'm definitely excited to dive into that and even help anywhere else other than running the camera that I can help.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Definitely.
So what impact do you want to make with your projects?
Um, I've thought about this. I've thought about this question for a while, and I think the biggest impact that I want to make is I want to inspire people to go out and make the movie that they want to make, not the movie that they think that they should make.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna be upfront. I don't. In the Hands of Fate doesn't have some deeper message. It's not. It's not preachy. It's just a fun, action-packed gangster movie. Like, I I almost miss the days when that's what movies were. They were entertainment. Maybe if you really, dive into it, there's a theme, but at the end of the day, they're not pushing any kind of agenda. It's a fun movie,
Right.
and I feel like some people are nowadays are scared to just do that. A lot of people feel like they need to be telling some kind of deeper meaning with their movie, and it's okay to just have a fun action movie every now and then. It's okay to make that, and if that's what your heart calls you towards, then that's what you should make. And if it's anything, it could be if you're someone that's like really into 80s slasher horror movies, then that's the movie you should be making. Or if
Right.
let's say you are really passionate about like some kind of larger message. Let's say it's a faith-based film, or if it's a film for diversity, or if it's something, if that's what you're drawn to, then yeah, then that's what you should be making. But don't feel like you need to push something if that's not what your heart's calling you towards.
Right. Where do you do all your editing for your projects?
In my bedroom. I'm just yeah. I ended up buying a pretty decent gaming computer because buy a gaming PC because if it's powerful enough to run AAA video games, it's powerful enough to run
Right,
your
that's what I
editing
did.
software. And so I have a desk in my bedroom, and I get onto Adobe Premiere, and that's where I work. I'll shut my curtains, put on some ambient lighting, get into the zone, and I'll just grind it out. I'll just start grinding out the editing,
Right.
and I'll do a lot of it like right after I get done shooting. I've been told by some people you'll burn yourself out that way, but I find I'm the most productive and I get into that state of flow if I just lock myself away right after we wrap.
Right. That's how I am. As soon as we're done with this interview and you leave, I'll be editing it, and I don't like sitting on stuff for too long. I
Yeah,
like to
no.
get stuff back to people. Like,
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like, and plus, I think part of it for me is also just that it's when I'm the most excited about it.
right?
Because
You're
you still have
immersed in it and everything.
right. It's because you direct a lot of music videos too. It's almost like this mental high of being on set and filming, and you want to ride that wave just a little bit longer.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it's nice to see and look back at everything you just did and see the beauty.
Oh yeah.
So what other cinematographers and/or directors, writers have you worked with, and do you have any favorites?
I gotta be careful about saying favorites because I know a lot of these people, but
It's not like a hate thing. It just if you
right.
could pick somebody to work with,
Well, I like to work with a lot of people. I'll explain here in a second, but some of the people that I have worked with that I really enjoyed, I talked about Van before. I was only there one day, but it was a really cool day to be on set because we were driving a cop car over a cliff and blowing it up. So
Okay.
that was extremely fun. The guy that did that's Jorge De La Rosa. Tremendous guy. I love working with him. He's currently getting ready for Van 2, so hopefully I get to be part of that. But also, we mentioned him earlier with Scavengers. Andrew Chapman, worked with him last year on Scavenged, and I've also been on crews with him for other projects as well, one of which being for a drama up in Cleveland called Calendar, which was written by Lou DiNardo, directed by Nick Muhlbach, and Nick is one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with, especially for the way he directs. I'll say that being on set for Nick and for Calendar, I studied a lot of the way that he directed people because there's a couple things that Nick really brings to the table that I try to bring onto my own film sets, and that's everybody is having fun, everybody is being fed well, and we're wrapping early. And hours can go by and you don't even realize it, and you're
Right.
actually still 2 hours ahead of schedule. And I think that working with Andrew on Scavenged, I saw he brought some of that same kind of philosophy from Nick as well, especially with running multiple camera angles. And that's kind of where I'm at too. Is I think that what Nick was able to do with calendar is so inspiring. And there's cinematographers too that I haven't worked with on their own movies, but I've been with some other cinematographers like Tyler Thomas is tremendous. Johnny Woo is absolutely awesome. And Larry DuBose, he's one of my favorite cinematographers to work with. And a lot of the people that I'm name dropping right now are people that are going to be part of the crew for In the Hands of Fate. It's not going to be the same people every day. It's every day
Right.
I'm going to have different people. Like I know one day Johnny Woo and Nick are going to be out, and another day Larry is going to be helping me out, and Tyler Thomas will be helping out on some days. And then I got to credit the sound guys. Michael Render, tremendous sound guy. Davis Woodring, absolutely stellar sound guy.
626 sound.
Yeah, yeah. So you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Davis is awesome.
Oh yeah, I knew as soon as I started talking about doing short films that I knew he was the audio guy. I just haven't gotten to that point yet, but
Yeah,
he'll be there when I get to that point for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
So I ask everybody this. Your answer might be a little bit different because normally I'm asking music artists and stuff.
Yeah.
If you got handed $1 million today and it was already taxed and everything, what would you do with it?
Oh man, I could go with the obvious route and say, well, In the Hands of Fate is funded, and everybody's going to be getting paid very handsomely.
Right.
But I think I want to go just a little bit bigger than that, and something that we were talking about before we started shooting was opening up. You're gonna be having a new building that you're gonna be running in, and operating out of a new studio. Something I've always really wanted, how those schools will go up for auction real cheap. I would love to buy an old high school that was going up for auction,
cool.
and then use that $1 million to start renovating it. Because what I'd love is to have, let's say we have this room, this classroom, I'm going to renovate it into a courtroom. Okay, this classroom's going to be a hospital
Right.
room, and then I don't have to location scout, because a lot of the complicated locations I have sets. Every classroom is a different
Right.
set. And then I can let the other filmmakers use that as well for their movies, and be able to give back to the community and be able to offer something for other filmmakers that they can use these sets too.
Right.
So I think
That would
that's
be
what I do.
insane. That would be absolutely insane. And you could actually get a school for pretty cheap. That wouldn't even cost much of the $1 million.
No, the building is cheap. It's renovating it where the money
Right.
goes into.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be insane. What do you like to do outside of directing movies and filming?
So I'm not the most exciting person, but outside of filming movies, I'm a student of the game. I like to watch old movies too. I like to watch the classics. I hate to sound like some kind of angry old man yelling on the porch, cinema's dead and whatever. But I really do find that my favorite movies, that a lot of the films that inspire me the most, are movies from the 1970s and the 1990s. I don't know why I kind of skip over the 80s a little bit, but there's some good stuff in the 80s, plenty of good stuff in the 80s. But a lot of the movies in the 70s and the 90s. So I watch a lot of old movies. I'll play some video games here and there. I wouldn't call myself a gamer, but I'll play some games. And
What console you play?
PlayStation 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
PlayStation guy.
I had to buy it. I had to buy it for Spider-Man. Otherwise, I was Xbox forever until Marvel Spider-Man was a PlayStation exclusive. And right then and there, even though I already had an Xbox One, I bought a PS4 for that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, new consoles are coming out. I have no choice. I got to buy PS5. I'm
Right.
like, sorry, Xbox, but you don't have Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't game enough to upgrade. I want both new consoles just so I can play with both sets of my friend groups, but I still have the best old Xbox. I have the One X.
Oh, yeah.
So When I game, I mean, it's enough for me for now. I'm sure one day
Yeah.
I'll upgrade when prices come down a little bit, because they're for a while.
Yeah, they might. I saw Sony's talking about PlayStation 6 already. They're talking about PlayStation 6 in like 27 or something. I'm like, it feels like the 5 just came out.
Right.
And I didn't even get the 5 till last year because, like, I'm going to be real. Like, I'm in the same boat. Like, it wasn't like a priority for me. I just wanted to have it before Spider-Man 2.
Right.
So that's why I got it last year. But, like, no, my priority was, like, man, I need to buy, new gear. I need to buy some lighting. I need to buy all this stuff for my camera. And, like, once I had, like, a lot of the gear I was trying to get, audio equipment too. And then I'm like, you know what? I can pull a little out of savings for this. But, yeah, I'm not too exciting. I can't say I do anything crazy. I'm not, like, skydiving or doing anything like too wild.
Yeah, I'm scared of heights. You ain't gonna catch me skydiving either. I've never actually even been in a plane yet, so I'm definitely not jumping out of a perfectly good flying plane.
It's kind of a paradox because for me to skydive, I feel like I'd have to be drunk, but I don't think you're allowed to skydive when you're drunk.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I don't know what I'd have to be strapped to an instructor and forced out of the plane. They'd have
Like,
to
they just-
strap my arms so I couldn't grab
you
the
just,
door.
you just have somebody like go, this is Sparta, and like kick you out of the plane.
Or lie to me. Like, hey, we're gonna jump on 3. 1.
Yep.
Yank me when I'm not expecting it.
Yep.
I might be able to do it then, but
Yeah.
I couldn't just willingly jump. Do you have a message for your fans and or followers?
I do, actually. I do. So right now, I'm actually relaunching the In the Hands of Fate Indiegogo campaign to raise a little bit of extra money before we start shooting. We're shooting beginning in March, but there's a lot that goes into it. I'm finishing up buying wardrobe for the actors, and especially with feeding people and feeding people very well. I want to make sure that not only am I providing everybody with at least one hot meal, one lunch. I want there to be some craft services where, hey, you got 5 minutes, why don't you grab a snack, and I want there to be some healthy options and stuff like that. And so I'm doing the Indiegogo right now, and so if the movie sounds like something that you'd be interested in helping, I got a lot of really interesting prizes, whether it be being on set, copies of the movie, or various merchandise. And I'm not even just talking T-shirts and hats. You go on the Indiegogo and find out. I'm thinking outside the box this time around for some merchandise too, but go ahead, check it out, and if there's something that you are interested in, a perk that you want, go ahead and donate. But even if there's not a perk that you're interested in, but you want to help support local independent film, or you want to rejuvenate and help make a really great gangster movie, go on Indiegogo and check us out, In the Hands of Fate.
Yeah, because it's not cheap. It's insanely expensive. I mean, you're talking a ton of people to eat. I mean, that's $200 or $300 just for people to eat. And I mean,
I spent like $100 when we were doing the proof of concept scene. I spent like over $100 on cheeseburgers at Wendy's, because not only was I providing lunch, but the cheeseburgers were part of a scene, and most of the burgers that I bought were to get thrown out of a window.
oh god.
And because that was all part of the scene. It's like Donovan's taking a bite out of the burger, and he goes, oh, and then he pulls a hair out, and then toss it, and it looks so nasty on camera. It was a piece of sewing thread, but on camera it looks like a hair, and it's so gross. And he throws the burger out. And I remember after we did it the first time, the burger didn't like completely fall apart, but it was like it hit the ground and everything. And he goes, "Okay, you can go ahead and bring me back the burger. I can use it again." I'm like, "No, dude." I said, "Do you realize how many?" I like open up the bag of Wendy's. I'm like, I planned for this. Don't worry. You're not touching this burger. This burger's going straight to the trash. Here, have a new burger.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, he's willing.
Yep.
What is the best life advice that you've gotten?
The best life advice that I've gotten, it just in general, I think, so this isn't something that someone's personally told me. But it's something that I've taken to heart, studying and watching other filmmakers and stuff. And It's a quote that I come back to from Quentin Tarantino, where he says, I make the movies that I want to watch, and everyone else is just invited along for the ride. And I think that's kind of key, because it's like, if you're not making a movie that you want to watch, then why would anybody else want to watch it?
Right.
You can't make a movie that's for everybody, because you're never going to hit every single person. You need to look at it and scale back and think, what do I want to see? And I guarantee you there's going to be a large enough amount of people out there that are like you, have the same taste, that they'll want to see it too.
Right.
But that's kind of how I look at it. If I make it, I make it, and if not, if I can put in and add a new DVD to my ever expanding DVD collection, then hey, I achieved something there too.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't change anything. I started to slowly branch off because I thought I wanted to do what like run and gun videographers do, and thought I wanted 1 million edits over my videos and this and that. But it's like the further I got along, I realized like I like that like cinematic look, clean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the transition calls for a cool like whip transition or something over it, yeah, put it on there. But for the most part, I just like clean cut videos, almost like a movie basically. So that's all I have down. I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about or special shout outs.
Yeah, I wanted to shout out some people that are on the cast. I've already talked. I've talked up Steve quite a bit, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about him. But also to Adam Joseph Turner, the lead. He's playing Donovan, the hitman. Adam's a tremendous guy. It's funny in real life. He's a homicide detective, and he's playing a hitman in a gangster movie. So
That's awesome.
It should be really fun for him. I know he's looking forward to it. Keith Migra, he's another guy I want to shout out. Keith is playing one of Rocco's thugs, a guy named Vic. Vic's kind of almost a Weasley guy. He causes a lot of the drama in the movie, but Keith is tremendous. He actually just last week was on set with Eric Roberts. He and Eric Roberts go back; they're friends, and it's pretty cool that he's doing all this big stuff that and working with well-known actors. He's told me about how like at one point he's met Christopher Walken before, and Keith is such a fun person to talk to in the stories that he has, and I'm like, so what makes you want to come out to a non-paid, low-budget indie movie? He's like, dude, I want to be in a gangster movie, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Right.
So shout out Keith. Sofia Bianchi, she's tremendous. She's playing Ash. She came into auditions, and literally the moment she auditioned, I'm like, wow, unfortunately there's 2 weeks more of auditions and I can't just offer her the part now. That good. And Megan Reneau, she's tremendous. She's actually Keith's girlfriend, and I ended up giving her the part for Charlotte, and she's actually got a lot of stunt training, and she's been a stunt woman in a lot of films too outside of acting, and I'm like, oh, well, that's perfect. And I almost spoiled the movie, so I won't say what stunts she has, but she has stunts. And then I could go on and on and on, but I'll leave it kind of with just one more guy I want to really shout out, Joseph Legion Slade. He came into the project kind of later and hasn't been attached as long, but what he brings to the table as Jeremiah for a cult leader it's absolutely, he blows me away every time I see him perform. But I mean, other people I can't go into in depth: Heather Bayles, Luke Jones, Daniel Repas, Alex DeCourville, Joshua Kidd, and then I just have so many extras. So I can't do the movie without all of you. And final shout out I'm gonna give right now, Charyssa VanBogelen. She's my key makeup artist, and she's also costume designer, and the amount of work that she's putting in behind the scenes, getting all of the costumes ready for the cult, and also some of the work that she's going to be doing for the makeup that she's going to be bringing to the table. tremendous. She runs her own business too. She sells custom, outfits, custom things like that. Also does a lot of special effects makeup. Does stuff with local haunt, Gorgas Street Horror. Carissa's amazing. And I lied. One more person I needed to shout was Tony Wynn. Tony Wynn's awesome. He's worked with a lot of big actors back in the day. He's been acting for a while. And we're talking, here's a guy that is going to be one of the meanest, baddest, bad guys in the movie, playing a gangster. He's playing Tyrell. At one point, he's going to even throw me into a wall, okay? And he's 7 feet tall, but you talk to him and he's such a, upbeat, charismatic, very it's like he's like night and day from the character he's going to be playing. He's such an awesome person to talk to. So I can't forget Tony Wynn. Tony Wynn is super cool, and I told him, how many movies do you get to throw the director into a wall in?
Right, not many.
So, yeah, I hope I didn't leave anybody out. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head.
Right.
But
hey, with so many people, I mean, it is hard to shout everybody out. So
yeah, a lot of great people, even behind the scenes too. But yeah, I could go on forever, and that would probably bore everybody. And I want you to have good watch metrics on YouTube.
Right. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Basement Sessions. Do you have a projected date for the release of that, or is it just play by ear?
It's play by ear. I plan to premiere in December, but that's going to be more locally. If you follow In the Hands of Fate movie on Facebook and you follow Franz Productions on YouTube, it's going to be the best place to get updates for when you'll have opportunities to watch the movie. But projected, I'm thinking a local, probably somewhere in the Stark County, Ohio area to just premiere In the Hands of Fate, but then for it to be watchable publicly. It all depends. It depends on distribution. So I'm not sure where it'll be streaming. Depends on festivals. Festivals are funny. They don't want you to premiere your movie or have anything like certain things publicly viewable, and you have to keep everything private for a year because of festivals. But I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm gonna do, I want to work with local festivals too, International Indie Gathering, the Horror Hotel Festival, both of those locally ran in Cleveland. So there'll be opportunities locally to see In the Hands of Fate for sure. But yeah, follow the page on Facebook, In the Hands of Fate movie, and then Franz Productions on YouTube. That's where you'll get all the updates.
There will be links in the description for all of his socials and everything, so you guys can go follow him. And yeah, so I'm definitely excited to work on this movie with everybody and run a camera, and that'll be quite an experience. So, and I hope it snowballs into other stuff with us working together. So
absolutely, like I said, you're talking about doing some projects, whether you want to just shoot a trailer or you want to do a short film, whatever the case may be. You know how to get a hold of me. I'm there. Okay.
We're gonna make it happen. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
If you guys made it this far in the episode, thank you very much, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.